I'll sing the night into the morning. I'll sing the fear into your praise. I'll sing no song into your presence. Whenever I say your name, let the devil know not today. Tell me, did the enemy panic as you took up that cross? Tell me, did the darkness cry mercy as you rolled back that rod? 'Cause I know your life is the life in mine. I know your love is the reason why. I'll sing the night into the morning. I'll sing the fear into your praise. I'll sing my song into your presence. Whenever I say your name, let the devil know not today. Whenever I say your name, Jesus, let the devil know not today. Not now, not ever again. You loosed it down death, crushed the devil's head. Fear is just a liar running out of breath. The fire beneath your feet, I'm standing on Jesus.
Was that Alan?
Alan! Al! Alan!
Yeah, I don't think you need me, you know.
Alan! 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 Al! Alan! 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 Alan!
Oh, so that's not Alan. Steve, that's Steve.
Steve! 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 Okay, boys, plankton breakover, pull your fish fingers out, come on. We have some scuba divers approaching. Now you know the drill. Everyone into position. Okay? 2, 3, 4.
Da-da,
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 da-da.
da-da.
Louder, boys, louder. Give me more cello. More cello, Roger. Use the gills. Brian, I love it. I love it. You're even scaring me. Andrew. Andrew, are you chewing?
No.
Well, I hope you bought enough for everyone. Come on, spit it out. Okay, back into positions. And a 1 and a 2. Da-da.
Oh, no, that's not Steve. That is Alan.
Alan! Alan! Al! Alan! 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 Did someone just say my name? Hey! 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 Do you say Alan?
Whoa! Yeah!
Do you think he can fly?
Here he comes. Well, alright. Now it's time for me to tell you all what you've done wrong since I last saw you. And don't try and hide because I'm Jesus. I will find you. Let's start with you, Peter. You lied to your mother the other day. Andrew, you said a naughty word when you hit your finger with the hammer. James, you laughed at him when he hit his finger. Moving right along, John, you drank too much wine the other night. Not way too much, just enough to make me angry. Matthew, we fell asleep in church, didn't we? Yes, we did. And Thomas, you were slow dancing a little too close with that girlfriend of yours. Let's see, and you, I forgot your name, so you're off the hook for now. Philip, I saw you smoking a cigarette behind that big rock the other day. Thaddeus, I hate to say I saw you stick up your middle finger at someone who cut you off when you were riding your camel. Benjamin, you aren't wearing your WWJD bracelet. Jacob, I don't mind you saying my name, but not after you stub your toe. Frank, you know what you did. I just can't repeat it because I'm Jesus. Alright, all you sinners, come with me. It's time to pay the piper.
So take another step.
There's only one cigarette.
I heard that.
You never left.
Look at all these sinners. Alright, listen up. Listen to me. I'm Jesus. Listen to what I have to say. I have done many wonderful things. I have healed many people of diseases. I have performed many miracles so that I can tell you this. You're all evil. There is no hope. That's it. Thank you.
Of your heart, moving like you do the mountains, moving like you do the waves.
Well, welcome to Elevate Online. I am so excited for this new format. To be honest, I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited to be hanging with you and engaging. We've been trying to connect in different ways the past few weeks, but we're excited for what this is going to look like. Each Sunday night, we're going to be here, 6 o'clock, live in some format with teaching or live worship. We're going to play some games. We're going to have a lot of fun together, but we want to connect. And then when we're done with this program, we are going to jump into our Zoom groups like we've been doing the past few weeks, where we'll kind of take this conversation a little further, but really just engage and connect with each other. So in the chat, be sure to comment. Leaders are there. They want to hang. They want to connect with you. If you have questions at all that pop up, even because of the series or just regular random questions, put them in the chat, because we'll try and answer them the best we can, or we'll take them to our Zoom groups and we'll discuss them further. But we are here, we're live, and we can't wait to connect with you guys. But I just want to say, before we get started, I know how difficult this season has been. I really do. And your entire high school leader team knows your school year was turned completely upside down, rather unexpectedly and very quick, without any type of warning. And for some of you, that means the end of your high school career without the traditional goodbyes. And for that, we just want to say as a team that we're sorry. Yet through it all, I have been blown away by your responses and your posts and your ultimate hope that this season becomes a season of growth. You have been challenged in such a unique way, in a way that a lot of people in history haven't been challenged, and you are overcoming. And we see it as your leaders. And you are using technology to engage with each other and to stay connected. And that's what's crazy about this season. We have so much technology at our disposal, but you and I still know that it only takes us so far, right? We love that connection with each other, and so technology is great, and that's why we're doing things like this. And we don't know when we get back together again, but we know we will eventually. And as long as we're here, we're going to do our best to connect with you guys in some awesome ways to hopefully make this such an unforgettable season for you. But I do promise that we will get through this together. Your leaders, we're praying for you. We love you guys, and we're here for you. And so hopefully this avenue right here allows us to stay engaged and connected and to come alongside you guys. But I'm excited to kick off this new series. For the next 3 weeks or so, we're going to be talking about influence. Specifically, how you and I have been influenced by people, but more importantly, how we have the ability to influence others. We have such a huge opportunity to make an impact on other people. And we'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to try a little game. This game requires you guys to comment inside the chat. I'm going to show you some pictures or some movies. I actually have 4 pictures and 6 quotes. We're going to get started with 4 pictures first, and each of these pictures is from a movie. And we know that movies have influenced culture, and they've influenced the box office, and some of these movies have influenced me personally. And so you're going to see a picture or a quote, and I want you to jot down in the chat and comment down in the section, whether you're on YouTube or you're on our Church Online platform. Jot down exactly what movie you think it is, and we'll kind of engage and figure out who is right. So the first 4 pictures, we're going to show the first one up right now. Here's the first one. If you know this movie, the title of the movie, put it in the comments. It came out this past year, 2019, I believe. And personally, for me, one of the most influential and inspirational characters and figures, people in my life growing up. Here's the second one. Older movie. They're coming out with a sequel that's probably going to get delayed a little bit, but it's a fantastic film, super funny, and really, really awesome. So if you know this movie, jot it down in the comments. All right, we'll go to the next picture. All right, if you happen to know this movie, I Will Love You Forever. It's a great film. It's an older film, but it is. I'm not going to give away any characters or anything yet, but this is, and it's a pivotal scene, this scene right here, this picture. And then the last one, this is the fourth picture, classic film. I have so many stories of going to my aunt's house growing up where I got to watch this film. My aunt didn't own it. We'd walk across the street to their neighbor's house, and we'd borrow it, rent it from them, and watch it on VHS as I was staying the night at my aunt and uncle's house. So jot down if you think you know what that is. We're going to jump into some singing, though. So we're going to come back to those answers here in a little bit, but we're going to sing together. Steven and the band and Dakota, they put together some awesome songs here that we're going to sing together. So wherever you're at, feel free to sing out loud, stand up, clap, and enjoy the music with us.
Back to life. Only you can, only you can. You set me free from every chain. You fill my heart with songs of praise. Only you can. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to your rhythm, to your rhythm. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Oh, 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 You left the glory of your throne to bring this runaway back home. Only you can, only you can. You give me love, you give me life. You keep me dancing through the night. Only you can, only you can. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold it. My soul sings, Father, you are holy. My feet dance to your rhythm, to your rhythm. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Every beat is calling, every beat is calling out your name. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Jesus, you're the only reason that I'm even breathing. I am wide awake. You free me, your freedom is consuming. I feel you rushing through me. I'll never be the same. My heart beats only for your glory. My hands reach up for you to hold it. My soul sings, Father, you
Awesome. Gosh, I love that song. I love that band. Everyone on that stage is amazing. So I'm looking at your guys' comments and what you're saying. A lot of you guys are getting them right, which is great. I see a lot of our leaders are on here. Got a bunch of you guys watching and viewing with us. Ethan, what's up, dude? Trent, nice to see you, man. Glad you're joining us. Caitlin, you rock. You're awesome. Riri, hi. I know you said hi. Here's some of the responses, though, that I've been getting. A lot of you guys are getting them right, which is good. I felt like those ones are a little bit easier when you see a picture, right? But Ethan, you're talking about like cookies and cake pops and all that fun stuff. But specifically when we get to the questions, Caitlin, you got it correct by saying A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. That's actually the title. Some of you guys knew who it was. Trent, you said, Won't You Be My Neighbor? Probably would have been a more apt title for the movie, for sure. But it was called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Ethan, I'm going to throw you on the bus a little bit. You said Goobers. It's Goonies. I think everyone's giving you a hard time. It is Goonies. That was a fantastic one. Goonies, Never Say Die. Dead Poet Society. That was another one. Casey, you got that right. Not a lot of students got that right, but Dead Poet Society, Robin Williams. Absolutely fantastic film. And then I didn't really see anybody else get this one right, but I do appreciate Steven saying William and Theodore's Exceptional Adventure. That is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So those were the four actual pictures. This is where it gets a little harder. I actually have some quotes now. So I've got about 6 quotes, same concept of this game. If you're just joining us, we're talking about influencers and what it means to be an influencer, and specifically how do we get to influence other people. And so we're going to talk through this for this next few weeks in this series, but I kind of gave you guys some movies that have influenced culture and the box office and me personally. And so those first 4 answers I gave you, those are pictures. These next 6 are quotes. So if you know the movie, throw it down in the comments. You ready? Here we go. Here's the first one. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. So there's the first quote. Think about it for a quick second. Throw down which movie you think it's from. Here's the next one. I'd never given much thought to how I would die, but dying in place of someone I love seems like a good way to go. Very well known. I'll give you a little clue, obviously, with some of the language in it. Romantic type movie. So if you know the movie, jot it down in the comments and let's see how close you get. Here's the next one. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. All right. What do you think this movie is? It's a fantastic film, one of my all-time faves. I'm not going to give you any more than that. Jot down in the comments. Let us know what you think this movie is. Here's the next one. Oh, were you going to sign up too? My brother and I have starred in all the school productions, and we really welcome newcomers. There are a lot of supporting roles in this show. I'm sure we could find something for you. Who? You don't have to say who says it, but someone makes this biting comment in a familiar place that you all know and may be comfortable with. So what do you think? What movie is that from? Next one, please. Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you can never go wrong. What movie was this from? Classic film. It impacted my life. I grew up with it. You guys have probably seen it. It is older. What movie does this quote come from? Bonus points if you can tell me who says it. Last one. I believe this is the last one right here. Just because you don't look like those girls in Poise magazine doesn't mean you're not beautiful in your own way. This one right here, close to my heart. Which movie is this quote from? I'm going to read it one more time because I love it so much. Just because you don't look like those girls in Poise magazine doesn't mean you're not beautiful in your own way. Jot down in the comments, let us know in the chat what movie you think this is from. We're going to sing another song, though, so you'll have some time to maybe think through some of these. So join us for another song by Steven and Dakota and the rest of the band.
People come together as strangers, neighbors. Our blood is one. Children of generation, of every nation, of kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled, and hold your head up high. Don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth: God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Hey! As the walls come down, all creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All his children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Swing wide on the heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. Everything with a friend forever, his kingdom come.
Well, welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we want to welcome you here. We've been doing something new. We're doing this live. And so we're here in the warehouse, and we're hanging out on campus. My name is Kyle, and I am so excited to be here with you all. When we started out tonight, actually, we started playing a game. I love movies. I know all of you guys love movies. But what we're talking about tonight as we kick off a new series is we're talking about influencers. Specifically, I know that we've all been influenced by people, but also we're trying to get to the meat of the issue, the heart of the issue of how we can be influencers of other people in our sphere of influence, people from school. I know we're quarantined, but it doesn't mean that we still can't influence those around us. So we started off by throwing 4 pictures of movies up, and I asked you guys if you know it, comment down below, and then we came back and I gave you 6 quotes of movies, and we're going to kind of go through those answers right now, see what you guys thought, and give you the correct answers. You guys actually did very, very, very well. So I'm going to kind of let you guys know how well you did. Specifically, I want to kind of give a shout out. Well, Trent did say Bill and Ted. He kind of came back and went to that picture again. The first quote was The Matrix. Ethan, you got that correct. Trent, you also got that right. You both said The Matrix. And Ethan, yes, technically you win because you got it right before Trent. But you were both right. You both got that correctly. The second quote, and I'm going to give a special shout out. Caitlin has absolutely destroyed it. I think she kind of got all of them right. But it was Twilight. Bella, who is in love with Edward, who is a vampire, spoiler alert, made that comment in regards to Edward. And so that one was Twilight. Back to the Future was the other quote. Mike Ferrulli, actually, you came out and said that. What's up, buddy? Yes. Doc says, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. At the end of the first one, the beginning of the second one, when they have to go to the future. It was not Romeo and Juliet. I don't know, Kelsey, if that was in... Oh, I get it. Close. We know that Twilight is the greatest love story ever. Just kidding, it's not. But no, so it was not that. Kelsey, was also not Star Wars. Caitlin, you got High School Musical correct. That quote was from High School Musical. And specifically, Caitlin, I believe you're the one who said it was Sharpay Evans. That is correct. She is the one who said it. The Sandlot, and Caitlin, you're right again. Babe Ruth said it in The Sandlot when he was talking to him in his dream. Kelsey, I'm sorry, it was not Angels in the Outfield. And the last quote, you guys, a lot of you guys got it right. It is my all-time favorite film, 13 going on 30. But I want to give a special shout out to Hope. Hope said, and I quote, the rom-com with the Hulk. Yes, Mark Ruffalo is in that film. He is the Hulk, and it was a romantic comedy. But that is absolutely one of my favorite films. And this just goes to show that, things influence us. Movies, music, we are influenced by all those things, right? But we also have an opportunity to influence other people. Think of all the ways that movie and media have influenced you. And let's take it a step further now and think about the people in our lives who have either influenced us or we have had an opportunity to influence. And that's what we're doing in this series. We're talking about what it means to be an influencer. So to get started, I want you to think of your most fun friend. You can say their name out loud wherever you're at, or you can throw it in the comments. Remember, this isn't like your favorite friend or your best friend. It's just the first person you think of when you think of fun. Who is that person in your life? When I think of one of my most fun friends, I think of a guy by the name of Brett. Brett, I knew him in high school. We hung out. He was tall. He was kind of well built, a little bit on the lankier side. Every single amazing one-liner came from Brett. He was the guy who was the life of the party wherever you went. We played sports together. We went to church together. Like, Brett was just an all-around awesome dude. And he would do things spontaneously that would immediately get everyone energized. Now, one time, I'm not condoning this at all, but me and Brett were leaving our midweek youth group one Wednesday night. And we were in his truck. It was probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we were going to go to like Del Taco and get some late night food and hang out and chat a little bit. And as we're leaving the church parking lot, Brett stops his truck suddenly. And he reaches to the back of his truck in the cab and he grabs a baseball bat. He says that he saw a possum and that he was going to go take care of it. Now, I am very confident there was no possum there. But what was funny was watching Brett just crazily swing that bat. And it was amazing. It was fun. That's just who Brett was. He did things like that on a whim and sometimes without thinking of it. Now, there was another time, though, where Brett was not only super fun, but he was very influential in my life. I've told you guys before about this date that I asked to go with me to one of our high school dances. It was at the Queen Mary, and I asked this girl to go, and I paid for her tickets and all that fun stuff, and we show up to the dance. And when we get there, she ends up hanging out with her friends pretty much the whole night. And it was pretty lame, right? Like, I spend money, we get to this dance, and she's off hanging out with her group of friends, and I find myself on the second floor, the second deck of the Queen Mary, looking down at the dance floor all alone. And then Brett shows up right next to me. He was there with a girl, and they were having a fantastic time. But he saw me just hanging out, and he decided to take a break and then just hang with me. And I told him what had happened, and then he just stood there listening. Then he did what Brett does best. He started making jokes. He started telling stories and distracting me from an otherwise lame dance, because that was Brett. Super fun to be around and always thinking of other people first. And I'm guessing you probably have a friend like that, right? Somebody that has this huge effect on people, and whether they know it or not. And maybe you know somebody that is just so fun to be around that everybody wants to hang out with them. Or someone, you might know someone who is just so nice that it makes you and the people around them want to be nicer people too, right? Or maybe someone who works so hard at their craft, whether it be sports or media or band, that it makes everyone else around them, their teammates, want to get better too because of them. They want to work harder, right? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you know somebody that is so mean that people always feel on edge around that person. Or this person you know is always ticked off, so it just brings the mood down. Or it's someone who is so loud that everyone else in the room has to talk louder just to be heard. And whether it's a good thing or a not so good thing, a not so good effect on someone's life, here's what's true about nearly everybody that has a significant effect on the people around them. They don't really think about it. In the same way that others have had an effect on you, you have the ability to have an effect on others. And that's what makes this series so interesting and yet so tricky. For the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about the you effect, how you affect the people and the situations around you. Now, for some of you, your influence is obvious. Maybe you hold some type of leadership position, maybe at church or at work or at school. Or you have friends and you understand and people listen to you and take what you have to say to heart. And they take your opinion seriously, whether it's about something as serious as who your friends should date or something as random or fun like which Avenger is the best. And before we move on, Captain America is 100% the best Avenger. But on the other hand, some of you may be saying, I don't have an effect on people or an impact on people, or I don't influence anybody. The me effect is at a big, whopping 0. I'm not like your friend Brad. I'm not the life of the party, and people don't listen to me and don't think about me when they think about someone who is a positive influence, like at all. I'm not an influencer, and I don't want to be. And either way, that's totally normal. Either way, the truth is this: no matter what you or I think about influence, it's possible, even probable, that we don't realize how much you affect or me affect there is, or what could happen because of it. We're going to take a look at someone tonight who used what they had to affect others, even though, to be honest, they didn't really have much. It's recorded in one of the Gospels, which are the life accounts of Jesus' life on earth. The Gospels are in the second half of the Bible, or the New Testament. And this entire New Testament tells the story about Jesus' life. But these 4 Gospels, they were important and special because they were these eyewitness accounts as to what Jesus did and said and how he lived when he was here on this earth. And what we'll read today is from a guy by the name of John. And John is often calls himself the disciple whom Jesus loved. He was very close to Jesus, so much so that when Jesus was dying on the cross, Jesus looked down at John and he asked John to take care of his mother, Jesus' mother, after he had died. So this passage we're going to read is from a guy who not only saw it, but it's from a guy who was like one of Jesus' most trusted followers. So let me set this scene. When Jesus traveled around in his 3 years of his ministry, crowds went everywhere with him. There wasn't really a place where Jesus wasn't surrounded by a crowd. In fact, Jesus had to oftentimes go away and be by himself just to escape the crowds. And it could have been because they heard about Jesus, they wanted healing for something, or that they were just curious. But whatever the reason, Jesus had a lot of influence, and people were always around him. This particular day was no different. Let's start right here in John chapter 6. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is, the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the signs he had performed by healing the sick. Then Jesus went up to the mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. So imagine this scene. A great crowd gathers around the great miracle worker, Jesus. And Jesus, what does he do? He looks at Philip and he says, "Philip, what should they do? Tell us." Now you got to imagine, if I'm Philip, I'm thinking, dude, you are 100% the guy to make this decision. Like, I've watched you do some crazy things. There's no way you should be asking me what to do. Aren't you the miracle guy? But instead, this is how Philip responds. Starting in verse 7. Philip answered him, "It would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." In other words, he says, "Jesus, you have got to be kidding me. If we're going to feed everyone, there better be someone here with a ton of cash on hand, because there's no way we can feed them with what we have. There's just no way." Like, imagine if you guys sent someone to McDonald's and you wanted them to buy 5,000 number ones, Big Mac meals, right? Like, I know McDonald's is relatively cheap, but that's still a lot of coin. And that's what Philip is saying. Like, it's going to take so much money just to get these people fed. The story continues, starting in verse 8. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many?" So apparently, in this entire village, there's one mom who packs her son a lunch. That's all they have, right? And Andrew thought that this was worth pointing out. Like, Philip is having this conversation with Jesus, and Andrew's like, by the way, there is a kid here. He's got like a sack lunch. And that's when Jesus went to work. John chapter 6, starting in verse 10, Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. So they gathered them and filled the 12 baskets with the pieces of 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. And the people saw the sign Jesus performed, and they began to say, surely this is the prophet who has come into the world. Now, there are all kinds of questions that I personally have. Like, was this buffet style? Like, how and where did these extra baskets come from? And more importantly, how did he turn 5 loaves and 2 fish into enough food to feed everyone? But here's maybe the most important question that we could ask. Who had the biggest impact in this passage? I mean, it's easy to see Jesus obviously had a ton of impact. He was Jesus. Like, the impact he had is seen in the fact that he had crowds of people following him all the time. And by the end of this account, a large crowd was calling him a prophet. So, like, obviously, Jesus had the biggest impact in this passage. And then there's the disciples. Just by standing next to Jesus, shoulder to shoulder, they obviously had a huge impact, right? They were just as impactful because they were simply associating with this person, this prophet. But the biggest impact maker of the story may not be who you think. Instead, it was the boy with the lunch. Now, at first, it seems like the opposite, right? Like, how could a kid with some bread and fish be influential? But the truth is, it wasn't the amount of what he had that allowed him to make a difference. It was his willingness to use what he had that made him influential. And this would have absolutely been a huge deal in its context as well, right? Children were not valued at all. No one would have seen this boy as having any influence, but that didn't stop him from stepping up with what he had. And his willingness to do it ended up impacting thousands of people. Could you imagine how the conversation at home went with his mom? Like, he gets home that afternoon and he says, Mom, there were thousands of people there, and they picked my lunch. No one, not even his mom, could have imagined things going that way. But they did. And 1,000 years later, we're still telling his story. Now, I bet this kid and everyone around this kid never thought influence like this would be a part of his story. It didn't matter that he didn't take the stage. It didn't matter that he wasn't well-known or in a position of leadership, or that he wasn't a speaker or a preacher, or that he wasn't super athletic or popular or an academic, or that he wasn't cool or interesting enough that we're even given his name. Guys, we're not even given his name. None of that mattered, though. Jesus wasn't looking for any of that. The only thing that mattered was that the boy brought all that he had, and it was enough. Ultimately, this was about the power of Jesus and what Jesus was capable of doing through someone who was willing to be used to offer what he had. And when it comes to you affecting the world around you, it's all about you being willing to show up and offering what you have. But before that's possible, you have to recognize this, that you have more of an effect than you think. Imagine if the little boy listening to Jesus, listening to him teach in that moment, thought to himself, I could have no effect on this situation. Like, there would be no story to tell, right? And imagine in the same way that when we feel like we have nothing to bring to the table, that we won't have the potential to affect anything, that there are so many stories and opportunities that we may be missing out on as a result. The way we see influence needs to change. It's time we begin to realize that having influence and impact is really just being willing to do something with what you have, no matter how big or how small that thing you have is. In other words, having an impact isn't about doing more or having more or knowing more. It's about offering what you already have to those around you. It's about choosing to believe even when it seems unbelievable that you have an effect on your friend group. that you have an effect on your section of the band, that you have an effect on your teammates or your siblings or your classmates or your teachers or your parents. And then just imagine what God could do with the you effect in the world around you. Even if that seems impossible, or it seems like you don't have a ton of effect, just allow your mind to consider the possibility that what Jesus did with the little boy's lunch is something that he can do with your influence. As you think about it, here are a few steps to consider. Identify the who. Who are the immediate people in front of you that you have the potential to influence? Now, I realize we're self-quarantining, right? And we're not at school every single day, so you have to get creative. We have technology to FaceTime and Zoom with people and to connect, but think about the people that are immediately in front of you. Maybe it's a sibling or a friend. Maybe it's a teammate. Maybe it is a parent. How are those people in your lives people that you can influence? Secondly, identify the need. The what. What is it that the people around you need? Is it encouragement? Is it time? Is it someone that simply needs someone to listen to? Can you lend an ear for someone in your life? What do they need? What is it that the people in front of you need? And finally, identify what you can do to help, and then do it. But let's flip that. Before we jump into our Zoom groups, we're going to have another song, and then we're going to connect with each other. But while we're singing this last song, I want you to think about a person in your life who has affected you in a positive way. What was it about them that allowed them to have such a big impact on you? And how did their influence impact your life for the good? In the same way that others had an impact on you, you have the same ability to have an effect on others. And that's why we're going to relaunch groups. You know, we've talked about it for a while. We did them consistently, took a little break from them, and they're going to look different on Zoom. But I believe, and your leaders believe, that when you put people in front of you, when you meet together in a group setting, you not only can lead and influence people, but you can also be led and influenced by others. The question to ask yourself isn't, do I have the ability to impact others? Instead, the question should be, how will I use the influence that I already have? Ultimately, God is the one who has the power to change. He has that power to change people, and it's only him. All you and all I have to do is show up, offer what we have, and let him do the rest. Would you pray with me? God, I thank you so much for all the eyes and the computer screens and the TVs that are here right now. God, I thank you that you've given us the ability to meet in an environment like this. And God, I pray for all of these students. I pray for their schools, for their parents, for their households, and as they navigate this new normal, God, I pray that you strengthen and encourage them. But God, let us know how we can be influencers in our lives. And let us know and remind us of the people who have influenced us. God, we love you, and we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Are you hurting and broken within? Overwhelmed by the weight of your sin? Jesus is calling. Have you come to the edge of yourself? Do you thirst for a drink from the wells? Jesus is calling. joy. From the ashes, a new life is born. Jesus is calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness is bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness is bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. What a Savior, isn't He wonderful? Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen, and bow down before Him, for He is Lord of all. Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen. Oh, what a Savior, isn't He wonderful? Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen. Bow down before Him, for He is Lord of all. Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Bear your cross as you wait for the crown, and tell the world of the treasures you found.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. At about 7 o'clock, so in about 12 minutes or so, we are going to go on Zoom. It'll be the same link that I sent in the past, but if you need it again or it's not working, please DM us on Instagram. We'd love to get you that link. We want to connect with you guys. It'll just be some hang time. We'll break off into groups. It'll be a lot of fun. But do that. We want to see you guys next weekend as well. Same time, same bat channel. No one said it, but I lost like 10 inches of my hair. So 10 inches are going to an organization that Adeline and I are donating to. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I'll post that video. Anyone wants to see it. I did go live for a little bit. Anyway, I love you all. I miss you all. And we will see you guys next week. DM us for the link to the Zoom. See you guys next week.